A ChemDraw tutorial. First thing you want to be able to do with ChemDraw is you want to go to File. You want to go to Open Stationery. You always use the stationery ACS document 1996. That's always the size, that's always the template, the stationery you use. So that should always be the one you use. So another one popped up. The one I have right here is already ACS 1996. That's always the first thing you do. Next thing you want to do, you want to go to View. You want to say Show Crosshair. It's going to show some crosshairs. Go to View, Show Rulers, right? Show Rulers. You're going to go View. You're going to want to see Main Toolbar, right? So there's the Main Toolbar here. Go to View. You want to see a General Toolbar. That gives you some zooming, saving, all those kind of things. You want to go View, Style Toolbar. Right? This gives you some, when you actually write things out in ChemDraw, some bolding, italicize, things of that nature. You want to go to View, Character Map window. This is useful when you're trying to find degree signs mostly. Right? When you try to find degree signs, you'll find that symbol there. Right? So if you wanted to hit here, you could find the degree symbol. That's what you usually need to use to find that's the most useful character map window. Now, from there, let's take a look at a couple things we could do. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. So ChemDraw can think for you. So if I put an O here, it automatically turns it into an OH. Notice on the toolbar here we have lone pairs. I can add lone pairs onto this molecule. And if I put a third lone pair, right, it should have gone red, because it should be angry. Or if I say that, now it's going to get, right, it's okay with it, supposedly. It shouldn't be, right? This is not okay. We need to add a negative sign to this. Usually I add the negative sign, and it goes a little up here, right? Now let's say I'm adding this to it, things to it, and I start making some things, some weird angles, and things start getting weird. Oh, that didn't bond there. Right? So this is not very pretty. I can take this lasso, right? Either it'll select it, or I can loop it myself. And what I can do from here is actually clean up the structure. So I go to Structure, Clean Up Structure. And that's actually going to straighten out the bond angles for me. It'll fix the bond angles for me. Right? A classic one people will want to see. Maybe there's a triple bond. Right? We all know that's not good. So it's actually Shift, Command, K, and it'll clean up that structure. Right? It'll fix the bond angles for you then. Right? It'll fix the bond angles for you. A couple things here. There's an eraser. Right? So you can erase things. Right structure, so if you want to type things out, you can, right? We could select all of this and bold it or italicize it or underline it. If we want to draw structures out, we could say, I want to do this as a formula. So CH2, CH3, that means this is going to think. If I start drawing this, it'll automatically do a subscript for me because it's thinking, oh, you're drawing out like empirical molecular formulas. So it's going to think for you there. Arrows, right? So arrows here, there's reaction arrows. The reaction arrow I like people to use is this first one. It's the first one. You can see equilibrium arrows down here. You can see resonance arrows. You can see some mechanism arrows, both double-headed and fishhook arrows, right? So you can say, do a reaction, H there. I'm going to draw in an H. It's going to be H plus. So I draw a mechanism arrow showing these electrons here going towards that H. Now it's going to be kind of tough here. Sometimes you got to work that arrow a little bit to get it to go where you want it to. And it might not be perfect. There's different arrows with different angles you could try. All right? There's mechanism arrows you should be able to do. So make sure you're comfortable with these type of mechanism arrows. There's the double-headed arrows. There's the fishhook ones. Another thing I want you to be able to look at, let's draw a, let's say a structure like this, a phenol. We'll clean it up. When you have a structure selected, you can go to Structure, Predict NMR Shifts. And that'll immediately open up a new window, and it'll actually predict what the NMR would look like for this molecule. So if you zoom in, you can actually see the splitting, and it'll tell you the frequencies that ChemDraw predicts it would be at, right? So it's using a formula to predict this. So you can do proton, and you can see the splittings. You can zoom in more. You could also do predict C13 shifts, and it'll do that as well, right? Again, it'll give you those numbers. If you zoom in on it, stop it. Why? Right? So you can zoom in on that and see those structures as well, right? So that's the other big thing you can do. Another thing that you'll find useful is actually the TLC tool. So if you click here, excuse me, click on this guy, right? You can actually make a TLC plate. Now with this, you can even change. You should be able to select this, and look, as you move it, it automatically is calculating your RF for you. If you click on this lane and right-click, right, you can delete a spot. You can change the way it looks, right? You could add a new spot as well. So kind of be willing to play around with these things a little bit. And you can change your size of your TLC plate as well. Change that. So TLC spot, I could add spot. This is all by right-clicking. Right-clicking, I can add another spot. Right, I can make them look different. You can do all sorts of fun. You can make it doubled. Right, you can do all sorts of things here with these TLC. Right, so be able to do that as well. This is just like a little bit of what ChemDraw can do, by the way. Right, you also have wedges and hatches. Right, you can have wedges. You have hatches as well. Right, so a lot of this is stuff taking some time to kind of play around with it. But that's the gist of things, right? Proton NMR, carbon NMR, TLC plates, mechanism arrows, right? Drawing on molecular formulas, right? All the toolbars, and of course, the stationery you want to use is ACS 1996. The other big thing, when you're transferring structures into Microsoft Word, so let's say you want to copy this, right? I'm going to copy it and then transfer it into Word. I never resize in ChemDraw. You never change the size in ChemDraw. It's perfect right as it is. You copy from here and paste it into Word. And then if you want to make it bigger in Word, fine. But usually this is the perfect size. You never have to change the size, right? So don't change the size in ChemDraw. So again, take some time, practice, try some different things. There's lots of fun things over here. You can do, they have glassware. You can see the pictures of the glassware, right? They have bio instruments. Here's going to take a little while to load. Right? They have there's scissors, there's a hot plate, microorganisms, they got stuff. They got nanotubes, organelles, they got bugs, right? This is in ChemDraw, BioArt, bioinstruments. Where is, it's under this little, kind of looks like thumbprint. Where is, the one last thing I want to show you, which is ridiculous. Anatomy. It's going to take a little second to load. All right, you can see all that stuff. Animals. It's all in ChemDraw. So you want to put your, because I need to have a lion in ChemDraw. So now I have a lion in ChemDraw. So lots of fun things to use, but those are maybe not as useful as some of these other things. Good. It's about ChemDraw that are important. You can actually take a structure, so select a structure, select it, and then go to Structure, Structure to Name, and it'll give you a name. You can do that with an alcohol here. Structure, convert structure to name. You can also have a name and say convert name to structure, and then that structure will show up as well. Finally, another thing to be worried about, another thing to look out for is under View, you want to do View, Show Chemical Warnings. ChemDraw will actually think for you. So if I try doing something like having a negative charge and putting on this oxygen or that nitrogen, it automatically gets rid of that H because it knows it shouldn't have that H. If I take here and say click on there and get rid of that H, that oxygen is going to be red because it's saying this is not right. I don't have a full octet, but if I start putting in lone pairs onto that, eventually it's going to be happy, but I still got to add that negative charge to make it fully happy, right? So the red will go away once I have that negative charge. Now it's happy. All right, so ChemDraw will think for you a little bit. So view, show chemical warmings, make sure that's up there as well.